where at least 80 demonstrators involved with recent protests have been arrested amid the worst economic crisis the country has seen in decades. NBC News chief foreign affairs correspondent Andrea Mitchell has the latest.
Thousands of demonstrators spilling into the streets of Cuba this weekend, calling for an end to the 62-year communist regime. Chants of "We want freedom" echoing through the streets. Protesters dumping trash and throwing rocks. Demonstrations sparked by chronic food shortages and blackouts. In Miami, protests in solidarity with Havana.
We've been waiting for change for so long.
Maria Figueroa has family in Cuba.
I don't even know what their situation is right now.
An economic crisis exacerbated by the pandemic and no access to approved COVID vaccines. A perfect storm for anti-regime anger that spread rapidly as more Cubans recently gained access to the internet. Cuban President Miguel Díaz-Canel today blaming the unrest on U.S. sanctions.
The lack of medicine and food, all those topics that are embedded in our society as dissatisfaction, what is the origin? It's a blockade.
They simply are not hearing the voices and will of the Cuban people. People deeply, deeply, deeply tired of the repression.
President Obama established diplomatic relations with Cuba and removed it from the U.S. list of state sponsors of terrorism. But the Trump administration put Cuba back on that list, imposing tougher sanctions, which President Biden has not lifted.
We call on the government of Cuba to refrain from violence, their attempts to silence the voice of the people of Cuba.
Andrea Mitchell reporting there. Let's go down to Havana. That's where we find reporter for NBC News, Ed Augustin. Ed, good morning. It's good to see you. So just lay out for our viewers, if you can, why exactly we're seeing these demonstrations in the streets. We've heard combinations of general repression, authoritarianism. We know economic conditions obviously contribute to that. Also COVID and the spread there and the lack of a government response to it. What are you seeing on the ground?
Well, the scenes I saw on Sunday are things that I've never witnessed in Cuba. I've been here for 8 years, and in Havana and across the country, there were thousands of people. I saw youths throwing bottles at police, ripping up paving slabs. I saw one policeman hit in the face with a cobblestone with a paving slab before having to speed off with other policemen almost running over protesters. Police, for their part, beating protesters, firing, not sure if that was rubber bullets or not, using truncheons, batons to hit them, pepper spray. So it was a melee of violence between predominantly young protesters and youths, many of whom were rioting. A police car was upturned. I think the main driver for this has been the scarcity and privation that Cubans are living through. As you mentioned in the lead up to this, the Trump administration has hit Cuba with unprecedentedly potent sanctions, over 200 sanctions against the Cuban regime here over the Trump time in office. And those sanctions have asphyxiated the economy. The Cuban government does not have the money it needs to import the medicine that people need. It doesn't have enough money to import food. And that's playing out in the street and adding to a huge amount of tension. I spoke to a woman yesterday who gets up every morning at 3:45 in the morning, has to hide from police because there's a curfew in place to try and keep COVID limited until 5 o'clock. She hides behind a shoe repair place, a cobbler's. And then at 5 o'clock, she bolts to the queue to queue up for goods that she doesn't even know are going to arrive. Yesterday was a good day for her because she was only, she said, in the queue for 8 hours and was able to get back just before lunch with some minced meat. So it's this sort of deprivation, standing in line, that's linked, of course, not only to US sanctions, but inefficiency in the state-planned economy, and, of course, the pandemic, which has removed all tourism revenue for this country, that has led to this huge amount of frustration and anger that we saw explode onto streets in Cuba on Sunday.
Ed, as you know, for generations, the Cuban government has squashed very quickly any sign of dissent against it. Is this time different? Is this new generation of people that we're seeing in the streets, these demonstrators who appear to be fed up with their government, is it different this time?
I think that what we're seeing right now is the government coming down hard on the demonstrators, especially demonstrators that were violent, but also there will be some prisoners of conscience. There will be people who are arrested under house arrest or currently being interrogated because of their political beliefs. I think it's a mix. I'm speaking to you now from an island where the internet has been cut. The authorities have likely cut that, one can only surmise, to stop a repeat of the demonstrations that we saw 2 days ago. And in Havana right now, there's a very heavy police presence. I mean, just driving here on the way to work, you see an expanded police presence. So authorities here are going to be very keen to keep a lid on protests if they're able to.
All right, NBC's Ed Augustin in Havana, Cuba for us this morning. Ed, thanks so much. And Joe, of course, we heard quickly from the Cuban government that this is all because of the United States blockade of Cuba, a crutch we've heard for many generations.
It's interesting. I didn't actually see those protests in the crowd. Let's bring in a White House reporter for the Associated Press, Jonathan Lemire. Jonathan, there obviously are a lot of implications to how the Biden administration approaches this crisis, obviously diplomatic and geopolitical, but also domestic considerations as well. The Biden administration can't be seen sitting back as these protests go on 90 miles south of Florida.
No, Joe, and we heard pretty encouraging words from the president yesterday in terms of supporting these protests, supporting these demonstrators, taking, frankly, a markedly different tone than his former boss, Barack Obama, who really sought to ease tensions with Cuba, to try to sort of normalize some relations there, even with the Castro regime. Of course, that all went away under former President Donald Trump, who really reimposed tough sanctions, many of which, some of these restrictions, the U.S. government under Biden have not yet released, have not yet changed, have not yet rolled back. I actually pressed Press Secretary Jen Psaki about that yesterday, and she pointed to other aid that had gone there. I also asked about the vaccines, which, of course, is cited as one of the issues there in Cuba. They are been ravaged by the pandemic, the economy never great to begin with, but devastated by the lack of tourism due to the pandemic. And she said that because Cuba was not part of COVAX, the International Vaccine Distribution Organization, the U.S. was not yet able to send any vaccines that way. So there's no obvious immediate solution to that. But there is the domestic front, of course. We know how powerful the voting bloc of Cubans is, particularly in Florida, particularly around Miami. We know President Biden lost Florida in 2020 by somewhat of a substantial amount. A lot of Democratic strategists actually have almost written off Florida for 24, especially if Donald Trump gets back in the race, thinking that that's simply not going to come back into their column. But of course, there are Latino populations far from a monolith elsewhere in the country as well. And there are, of course, other Democrats, other than Joe Biden, who have political interests in Florida. So they are navigating carefully here. And in the coming days, the president has promised we'll be hearing more from him, perhaps with some more concrete proposals about Cuba.